Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Tom with Capo Fetish. Let's talk about some go-to album sides today on the channel. So sometimes maybe you don't want to hear a complete album in its entirety. When we're talking about vinyl here, we have two sides. Maybe there's just one particular side that you dig and that you just want to hear that particular side only. What particular album sides do you return to on a regular basis? Here are a dozen of mine. I've just picked these out of the blue. These are ones I return to quite a bit. For whatever reason, they provide joy, maybe a little catharsis. I'm going to start off here with side 2 of the Rolling Stones' Beggars Banquet. I've always loved side 2 of this album. Nothing against side 1, but there's just something about Street Fighting Man, Prodigal Son, Stray Cat Blues, Factory Girl, and Salt of the Earth. I think it's one of my absolute favorite Stone sides, and it's one I return to on a regular basis. Fantastic. Rolling Stones, Beggars Banquet, side 2. One I return to quite frequently. Another one is side 1 of David Bowie's Aladdin, Sane. There's something about side 1. Watch That Man. Aladdin, Sane, the title track is incredible. That piano playing. Drive-In Saturday, Panic in Detroit is just rocks. I love the backup vocals. And then you've got Cracked Actor, which is just really sludgy and grungy sounding. Great guitar playing by Mick Ronson. Definitely one of my fave Bowie sides, and one I return to frequently. Aladdin, Sane from 1973, side 1. How about side 2 of Neil Young's Rust Never Sleeps Now? This album is half acoustic, half electric. Side 1 is fantastic. I love side 1. Hey, Hey, My, Out of the Blue, Thrasher, Ride My Llama, Pocahontas, and Sail Away. But there's something about side 2 for just pure catharsis. Just absolute, just balls to the wall rock and roll. Powderfinger, one of my all-time favorite Neil Young tracks. And I think this particular version on this album, rather than Live Rust, especially his guitar solo, is just perfection. One of his best guitar solos. Welfare Mothers rocks, it swings. Sedan Delivery is just really something else, that track. The way it just kicks off in punk style, and then it kind of breaks down in sections. Really cool. And then, of course, Hey, Hey, My, Into the Black. Just 4 songs of just total, just balls to the wall rock and roll. Love it. Side 2, another fave that I play frequently, Neil Young and Crazy Horses, Rest Never Sleeps, side 2. From 1985, side 2 of the Replacements' Tim album. One of my favorite Replacements sides, just perfection, for me at least. Bastards of Young, which they played on Saturday Night Live in 1986, a real ragged version, great version. Lay It Down Clown, kind of reminds you of like a cross between the Stones and Aerosmith. And then those last 3 tracks, Left of the Dial, Little Mascara, and Here Comes a Regular, just one of Westerberg's greatest ballads. Nothing against side 1, but side 2, there's just something about it, always gets me, especially the way it ends with Here Comes a Regular. Just amazing stuff. So side 2, from Tim, from the Replacements, from 1985, another fave. Brian Auger, keyboardist extraordinaire, Hammond B3 player from the 60s. He's put out a shit ton of albums in the 70s with the Oblivion Express and the Trinity. But in 1978, he reunited with Julie Driscoll, now known as Julie Tippets. And this fantastic album from 1978, Brian Auger and Julie Tippets, Encore. There's something about side 2 of this album. It is so freaking incredible, and I always return to it. Rope Ladder to the Moon, her version of Jack Bruce's song, it was on Song from a Tailor, is so good. You must pull this up online. Rope Ladder to the Moon by Brian Auger and Julie Tippets. They do a version of No Time to Live, the Traffic song that was on their self-titled album in '68, which is so good. Nothing Will Be As It Was is an amazing track sung by Brian Auger, and then we've got an Al Jarreau cover ending side 2 called Lock All the Gates, and her voice is just amazing. If you never heard Julie Driscoll, aka Julie Tippets, check her out. Check out the Street Noise album from '69 with Brian Auger and the Trinity. Her voice, really one of the most uncelebrated, underrated vocalists of all time. Just a belter and just incredible. Never got the worldwide acceptance that she deserves, but this album, especially side 2, is fantastic. Brian Auger and Julie Tippets, the Encore album from '78. And by the way, My brother in the late 70s, early 80s worked for Warner Brother Records, and he did a lot of liner notes on albums, and he did one on this album as well. On the back cover here, it's Joe Robinson. Really good kind of summary of Brian Auger's career and the album. Good stuff here. Brian Auger and Julie Tippets, Encore. Love side 2. Let's go to 1968 for Jimi Hendrix Experience, Axis Bold as Love. An incredible album, my favorite Hendrix album all the way through. And there's something about side 2 that I really have always loved. It's one I play frequently. You Got Me Floatin' is such an incredible rocker. I always wanted to play that with my band back in the day. I thought that would have been a great cover. Castles Made of Sand, one of his greatest ballads. She's So Fine with, I think, Noel Redding on lead vocals. So rocking. One Rainy Wish, Little Miss Lover, and then Bold as Love. So freaking good. Side 2 of Axis Bold as Love by Jimi Hendrix. And by the way, there's a super deluxe edition of this coming out. I think it's just about to be released or has been released. That looks pretty cool. Looks like 2 discs of sessions from this album. And I may look into it. I'm sure it's really expensive, as most box sets are, but that's coming out. Axis Bold as Love. Again, side 2, another all-time album side favorite of mine that I return to on a frequent basis. 1979's London Calling, 4 sides. What is my favorite side of this that I play on a regular basis? That is side 2. There's something about side 2 with Spanish Bombs. Gotta love that track. The Right Profile, Lost in the Supermarket, and then Clamp Down, just rocks, and then The Guns of Brixton, sung by Paul Simonon. Fantastic side. Great album all the way through, obviously, but there's certain sides of certain albums that really appeal to the listener, right? And this is one of them for me. Side 2 of London Calling by The Clash is awesome. And then one I've mentioned many times on this channel. Probably, I have to say, if I had to say my favorite Beatles side of all time, it would be Help, the British version. Side 1 of Help. The British version is absolute 1965 pop perfection. I mean, look at this. Help, The Night Before, with a stellar McCartney vocal. That's one of his best vocals, I think. That particular range. You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. I Need You, George Harrison's first just amazing track. Another Girl, You're Going to Lose That Girl, and Ticket to Ride. I mean, just absolute pop perfection. Probably my most played Beatles side, of even more than some of the sides on Revolver and the White Album. There's just something about this side. Side 1 of Beatles Help, I return to almost on a monthly basis. I got to hear it. Love it. Next one is the Kinks Arthur, side 1. I don't know how many times I played this side. I love the whole album, but there's something about side 1 that just draws me in, and I always want to hear side 1. Victoria, Yes Sir, No Sir, Some Mother's Son, one of the greatest anti-war songs of all time. Drivin', very jaunty and bouncy. Brainwashed, rocks. There's this midsection where it stops and Dave Davies kicks in with this heavy distortion. It just bleeds through the speakers. It's incredible. And then the epic Australia ending side 1. Yes. Side 1 of the Kinks, Arthur or the Decline and Fall of the British Empire, is a most played side for me. Another one is, even though this album has been overhyped, overplayed to death, I still love side 2 of Nevermind by Nirvana. Side 1's great, but it's a little overplayed. But side 2 you don't really hear much about, even on the radio. None of these songs on side 2 really get much airplay at all. Territorial Pissings with Cobain just belting those vocals out, shredding his vocals. Drain You is an incredible track. Lounge Act with Cobain, it's one of his greatest vocals, I think. The way it starts off just kind of mid-range and then into the screaming on the second verse. Stay Away, On a Plane, my absolute favorite Nirvana track. I just love the melody of that. And those backup vocals from Dave Grohl. And then Something in the Way, just haunting. Just a real cathartic side of an album here. Side 2 of Nirvana's Nevermind. Never gets old. This album is now over a quarter of a century old. Actually, older than that, over 30 years old. Hasn't really aged at all. So Nirvana, Nevermind, side 2. Side 1 of Van Morrison's Moondance is one I return to a lot. It's just perfection. Side 1, Stone Me, Moondance, the title track. Crazy Love is gorgeous. Caravan. Have you ever seen the live version of Caravan that Morrison did with the band on Last Waltz? Incredible. He's like kicking his feet up. Just a lot of passion. And it ends with, I think, one of his greatest ever tracks, Into the Mystic. Just absolutely gorgeous. So another frequently played album side, side one of Van Morrison's Moondance. And I know I've featured this album a bazillion times, but only because I love it so much. Side one of Capo by Love is absolute perfection, and I play it almost on a weekly basis. There's just something about the range of this side. Stephanie Knows Who, Orange Skies, written by Brian McLean, just beautifully sung by Arthur Lee. Quevita, I don't know how you pronounce that. 7 and 7 is one of the greatest proto-punk tracks of all time, sandwiched in between all these like interesting tracks. The Castle, incredible track. It's like this little, almost little prog epic track. It comes in around 3 minutes. And then She Comes in Colors. Just 6 songs of absolute incredible melody and range. One of my most frequently played album sides of all time right here. Love, Capo, side 1. What are your favorite or just, go-to album sides of all time? Let me know in the comments section. I'd love to know. And if you dig the content across the channel and you're new to the channel, press subscribe. It's absolutely free. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.